What's happening, y'all? This is Todd Wilson with another episode of Elevate Your Game. Today we have husband, father, the head coach of Village Christian, CIF champion coach, and one-time Christian Coach of the Year as well, Mr.
Yes.
Julian Andrade. Welcome to the show.
Man, great to be here. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. He came in and he saw this and he instantly showed me his man cave that's better. So I got to up my game in the studio, man. We like to start this show off with the wall of hoop movies. Your favorite hoop movie of all time and why?
I gotta say it's White Man Can't Jump. I think back in the day that was going back in the playgrounds and knowing what the field was about, what that was about. It's a no-brainer for me. I could relate to that movie 100%.
Did you ever play for money?
Yeah, we played for money.
Yeah.
We played for money. You know, one-on-ones. Yeah, two-on-twos.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
No, absolutely, man. That is I guess that got me into the competitive side. Like I saw how competitive it was with how they played in that movie. So that always
and there's no gymnasium. It's all playgrounds.
Right.
So that's what made.
Have you seen the new version of the movie?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, they play sometimes in the gym.
In the gym?
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same. Two separate movies. Try to keep the flow.
Yeah.
But so when did you fall in love with basketball?
Oh, sure. I would have to say probably when I was like 10 years old, and played basketball all through the youth. But what's really interesting is that what I did so much to want to play basketball is I remember at school I was like a 12, 13-year-old and some kids were wearing a shirt that said California Athletes for Christ. And I wanted the T-shirt because they played basketball, the group played basketball, and I wanted the T-shirt. And I said, how do you get one of those T-shirts, right? And he goes, you got to go to church and play on a basketball team. Wow. And I was like, I want to do that. And that's where everything also hooked up and got to be baptized as a Christian because of basketball. Man. Didn't know that it was going to lead up to a lifestyle.
That's awesome.
So that was pretty cool.
That's cool. A shirt attracted you to the game or
because
to
of
that,
basketball?
Just because of basketball.
Led me to, the Lord.
That's awesome. And where did you grow up?
Eagle Rock.
Eagle Rock, okay.
Eagle Rock, California. I was born in Ecuador.
Okay.
So South America, but we moved when I was 1 year old. So Eagle Rock been there for a while back, and then I was able to play ball there and go back and coach at my alma mater, which was really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so going in at 10 years old, right? Like you said, back then there wasn't any trainers, probably barely any AAU teams or anything like that. What was your basketball education growing up as a kid?
Well, basically it was TV, watching the pros play the game and learn about it that way because again, it was only a seasonal sport for competition. And other than that, the other months you end up going to the playground and playing ball. So my learning was through TV, and then I went to a basketball camp when I was 13 years old, Biola University, and I remember that they had a line around the ball, okay, and you needed to shoot the ball with that line being perfect rotation, and then they had another ball with the handprints on it, and that to me showed me how to shoot the ball, and from there I went. So I went home and put that line around my ball, and to make sure I got proper backspin rotation on it. And that's where I came out to be able to shoot the ball the right way and hopefully made, ball will fall in more than often.
Man, there's a product. We were talking about products earlier before the show started. That
Yeah.
might be a good product to get out. I know it's probably out there, but man, that would have been great for me. I was always like, I was taught by my cousin how to shoot. He used to put a broom over, you got to shoot over the broom because you're short type of thing. And so if I had that shooting education early on, I don't know if I'll be sitting here.
So the shooting though is a technique that people do not really understand it. So like when we I know we pass the ball, we also want to pass it with the seams across. Yes. So when you catch, it comes that way, so we're able to shoot it the right way and not waste time in finding the seams of the ball. Yeah. But that's a huge art that people spend a lot of time. How many shots you take a day? I take 400, but how many did you take the right way? Yes. Which is a key.
Yeah, no, there's some repetition people still out in the world, and it's like science has proven that it's easier or better to learn a different way now. It's about doing it the correct way and spacing it out so you make sure you're retaining the information, all those kinds of things. So you get your reps up. It works still, right? If you get enough reps, you figure out how to make it shooting it your way. But much more efficient if you shoot it the right way.
You're gonna make something work any which way you want to. If you practice long enough, it's probably gonna go in. But shooting is really easy, I think.
Yeah.
It's extremely
For
easy.
you, because you went to a camp that showed you how to do it right away.
Yeah,
now.
but somebody with a habit, it's really difficult. So when you get a kid at 15, 16 years old,
Yeah.
it's really, really hard to do it. But you know, my thing with youth coaches, please just show them how to shoot the ball right. You know, and stop with the 10-foot baskets at 9 years old, 8 years old. Go with the smaller basketball. All those type of things make a huge difference in the kids.
Yeah, this is what my kids dribble around the house.
See that?
Yeah.
See that's the
Showing them
thing.
already.
And then you're able to get proper backspin rotation on a little ball. But you tell them to give them a ball and go shoot at a 10-foot basket. What are you gonna get? You're gonna chuck it, and then you gotta break that chuck into proper shooting later on in their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And so shooting was your calling card in the game?
Shooting is my thing. I really could look at a team and know who's shooting the ball the right way.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really something that really irks me when I got. And I have players in the past that shot it incorrectly, but it goes in that I gotta say, okay, I hope no coach is judging me on that kid. But my response to it is like, hey man, he's putting the ball in the bucket.
Buckets.
I gotta leave it alone.
Yep, absolutely. All right, and so middle school, just going to camps, hooping outside.
Yeah.
Going into high school. So what was your experience in high school?
Well, you know, so as a freshman, matter of fact, I just told this story today because we had a athletic director talking to a tennis coach that's not playing. The players are not that good, and he's winning by a lot of points, a lot of matches, and the kids aren't getting any reps. And so we were talking about stuff, and then I brought up the stuff when I was a freshman. We went to an away game. It was Lincoln High School, and our point guard, and I was probably like maybe the 10th, 11th guy on the team. The point guard forgot his uniform. And remember like it was yesterday, coach goes, Andrade, I need to talk to you. I go, you know, I'm ready to go ahead and take the role, whatever that, you know, role was. I think I was going to get, thinking it was going to be playing time. We're going to need your uniform. That was probably one of the lowest moments of my life as a kid. I still remember my feeling on it.
Yeah.
But that changed my whole life.
What did it change?
Because that feeling, I decided to, if I'm going to be in this sport, I really got to work to get better.
Yeah.
And that made me an addict on a court. And I would work and work and work. Come trials the next year, I was the last guy cut on the varsity as a 10th grader. Varsity coach was like, where have you been? And I was like, no. And years later, you know, I saw that coach many years later, and I thanked him. I really said, thank you very much. He didn't know what I was talking about. I didn't tell him. And I said, you changed my life. And then that was it. But that was one of my experiences. But then I, you know, continued playing ball. Was more of a leader type, rah-rah guy. I was captain of my varsity basketball team, and things went on, and that was it, man.
I want to go back to that moment that, you know, you remember it so clear because it was a trauma moment in your life, but what you did with it was turn it to fuel, right? There's kids who really struggle in those moments now, and they just get down on themselves. What would you tell your, you know, 14-year-old self now, now that you've experienced it, to do the same thing you did, you know, for the kids who were going through that?
Well, I didn't have too much parent support back then, so it was really my mental aspect of it, of how I felt, that I didn't want to get that feeling. But I think now these days is really, you know, the parenting now. It's they everybody gets a trophy type of thing. Don't hurt my son, as opposed to let the adversity come about. So I think I think what's made me into a better coach now is having kids, my own kids.
Yes.
Because my kids are fortunate enough, they're baseball players. But so I see what's happening with them and how the coach treats them, and they want a different treatment. And my response to them is, what are you going to do about it? As opposed to, let me talk to the coach.
Yeah.
So that's what I think is basically going back. What I tell the kids is, what are you going to do about this situation? You don't like the feeling that you're getting? What are we going to do? What's your goal? And what's the plan? Everybody has a goal, but the plan is the key to the goal. The stickability of that plan is, you know, the main thing, So that's basically it. And I get my kid, coach, Dad, I'm batting 8th or 9th. Can you talk to the coach and give me an opportunity of batting one or two? How is that kid gonna feel that's earned 1 and 2?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna talk to the coach about putting it because it'll make them feel better? No, it doesn't work that way.
What is you said something that triggered me. It makes them feel better. We have to be concerned with our child's emotions, but what do we have to be more concerned with?
Well, I mean, again, they're in a sport that's competitive. They're in something that you earn what you get, and I think that what we feel, there's a bad cop and a good cop. So my wife and I, and coaching staff too, so I said, you could be the bad cop and let them know what needs to be done, and then the good cop comes and puts it up in a lighter version for them to realize and make the adjustment on it. And I think that's good. And we have on our staff now, we have that one coach that does that for us when we put the kid down and tell him, you got to do this, you got to do that, and then he comes about and tries to pick him up and understand on what we're trying to do to get him earn minutes.
Yeah, no, it's great, that balance. I'm glad you said that because both parents nowadays are, the good cop and allowing your kid to go through that adversity to figure out competition. And we have to be aware of their feelings, but we also have to show them how to work through those emotions because it's going to happen in your adult life too. Like the game's going to end someday. So.
I mean, our job through basketball, through raising kids, is be able to have them get into the real world and be prepared for that. Because we're not going to be around them the whole time, and we can't pick them up every single time that adversity hits. They have to deal with it, and sometimes we need to let that happen so they can be better themselves for what's really going to happen.
Yeah.
And with that boss that's not going to have that assistant boss or everybody that's going to pick them up. No, it is what it is. Yeah. So that makes it tough.
Absolutely. And so you had a early leadership role playing basketball. Like you said, you were the captain of your team. And so did you see yourself as a coach then, or how did that come around?
I never thought about coaching, but I just learned what the right thing was to do. The work ethic, the discipline, being on time, picking up your teammates, understanding what the coach was saying, and me relating to the guys, being that coach on the court. So I think all those things that I was doing as a kid led into, be able to coach and try to coach the right way.
Yeah. Are you able to identify a kid who has coaching ability now, like somebody who's on your team now?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. There's guys that just come around, and it comes down to the leaders. Yeah. The leadership, the guys that just always, stop. Listen to the coach. Let's get this right. This is what he wants. We're going to do it. Hey, why are you on time? Hey, how come you don't have your practice gear on? All those little things add up. Discipline's a huge thing. Discipline in relationships. I mean, we can all learn X's and O's, but the discipline in relationships is be able to take it to another level.
Yeah, absolutely. And so high school, any experiences you remember playing against some crazy teams? California was always had talent, and so any of that stick out to you?
So graduated in 1978. Pasadena High School was one of the incredible teams. Tim Tucker, coach at Maranatha, he was part of those teams, and to this day, I say that there was no other teams better than those teams. They had 7 or 8 Division I guys on a team.
Man. And
I remember we used to play them in summer league, and there was a guy named Dale Cook, Dr. J Hands. I went up for a 15-foot bank shot, and he wasn't even close by me, but he caught it. And the bank shot.
Out of the air?
Out of the air. Caught it by the And I was like, you know what? This is incredible. I was in awe. But so I think that playing at that level back there, no 3-point line. So,
oh wow!
So that was really interesting. And I think that of course it changed the game completely. But it was more of a physical game more on the throw the ball on the block.
Yeah.
You know, which now it doesn't happen too often.
Right.
You know, you can't even use the word five. Play the five. That
post and
that word is like, you want me to play in the five? It's like, nah, you can't. It's I've switched those 4 and 5. I switched those words.
Yeah. What do you call them now?
I call them movers.
Yep. Yeah, we did that. So when I was coaching at Heritage, we call it the flyer and the runner.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to make up names so the kids just this mental space. I'm not a post. I'm like, man, Gary Payton post up. He's a point guard. Like, and so now I say, hey, the post is a spot on the court. Absolutely. It's not a position. You have to have post moves just like you have to have perimeter moves. So that's how I kind of explain it to these middle school kids who get caught up in that.
It's interesting you're saying, because you have a big kid, and everybody in the stands are saying, why don't they throw it at the big kid? Because the kid's 6'8" and there's guys 6'1". Mm-hmm. But the problem, we can't throw him into the kid because nobody teaches them what to do with it. And just because he's tall doesn't mean it. And the other skill that's it's not happening anymore is post-entry passing.
No, not throw it in there.
Entry. I mean, that's a difficult thing to do because we don't practice that. There's not that happening anymore.
Yeah, we do. Just so you know, core every day.
Yeah.
We got the post-entry, pump fake, step through passes. Those fundamentals, I feel like they're coming back. More and more coaches are sticking to the fundamentals. The ones I'm around, I'm sure you do them as well. Like those fundamentals, you can tell when you play your teams. Like you said, the discipline shows. Like you can tell that you guys have discipline and there is purpose in everything that you guys do. And I think that's.
Yeah, no, I think that what you said, I like it. The post is a spot in the court that you can be effective of, and the closer you get to that spot in the court, the less dribble it is to go ahead and get a bucket.
Yep.
So that's a big thing.
We teach all of our kids, like, hey, you want to be like Kobe? Kobe had post moves.
Oh,
you want to be
incredible.
Kawhi? You want to be Bron? You want to be all these players who are the best players now? They all have post moves.
Yep,
and so
absolutely.
we teach them the little hitches and all that, so they feel like they're doing something. But they also do drop steps. They also do step around, step through, all the basic stuff. Because look at Jalen Brunson. He uses post moves to get buckets now.
And now that going off their pivot foot now and creating that separation now, the Europeans have been doing it forever, and now you have to tell the ref, and my post player is going to pivot and jump off his pivot foot and create separation. Mm-hmm. Can I show it to you? And there's been 50% of the time that one ref says that's traveling, the other one says that's not traveling, and they're both fighting, and they got to bring out the rule book that it's not a travel.
It's not. Yep.
So that's huge.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what was your idea of college like for you? Coming out of high school, were you trying to play? What was the dream?
So it's funny. So I wanted to go to Hawaii and play. I had a really good friend of mine, was the starting point guard for Chaminade University when they beat Virginia. Okay. So I'm going out there and hang out with him. And I think to this day is the biggest upset in college basketball. Chaminade, NAI school.
They're NAI at the time?
NAI school at the time.
Man.
They shared the campus with St. Louis High School. Their athletic office was a little shack. They shared the gym with the high school. And they beat, Ralph Sampson was the #1 player. And it was incredible. And it was played, everybody was asleep. Because Hawaii is
Hawaii time, yeah.
Hawaii time, so it didn't get. But I think that they're in a process of making a movie of that.
Wow. That's cool.
But so anyways, I went there, and then I found out that I had to not play. I couldn't play at the JC right away. So then I went to a hotel and tourism school, travel management school, and so I decided to go away from that and left basketball alone and went through 1 year of that, of a business school. And then decided I just started making some money.
Yeah.
And so my college career was very, very limited. I think it was like maybe 1 week.
You were in Hawaii though for business
Yeah, I was
school.
in Hawaii, in 8 years. But going back to the coaching, so the legendary coach at that time for Chaminade was Merv Lopes.
Okay.
So Merv is a legend. I mean, he beat SMU, was ranked at University of Houston. Louisville, all those teams were beaten by Chaminade that year. So I would go to.
Was this the Maui Invitational? Is this was it created out of
that?
It
was created out there. It was at the Blaisdell Arena. It was Maui Invitational came because of Chaminade though later on. But I would go to his practices, And the one thing that he taught these kids were that everybody puts on their shoes and laces the right way, jerseys, and
The John Wooden stuff.
so it was the mind that they're just basketball players. That's basically it. That there ain't any better than you. And then he would have them meditate. Meditation was a huge part of what they did. So it was interesting. So they were able to go out there and play and compete and come victorious. And they didn't. And they went after it.
So that was your basketball school.
That was my basketball school. Yeah, I mean,
awesome.
just the mental aspect of it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was incredible that he made these guys believe, and they bought in, and they had no fear.
Man, that's
That was
awesome.
really, really cool.
So you started your career, seeing, athletes for Christ,
Yeah.
and that stirred you towards basketball. Basketball introduced you to Christ. How was your relationship and your journey spiritually from that point when you first picked up a ball through finishing your career in college?
Oh, it was. I mean, back in the day, I mean, Iraq High School at that point was probably one of the top-ranked schools regarding drugs, and it really gave me the path to really, really be on the right side with my relationship with God, going to Bible studies and being around the right people and all that. So it gave me the guideline in my relationship that really, really changed my whole life, and and to this day it continued on. But it was amazing. And then so therefore that round ball is really, really special to me because that round ball led me to know the Lord.
Yeah. And so how important is it for a kid to understand, like, they feel like they're going to miss out on things, right? Because being committed to Christ, it feels like there's rules on you.
Yeah.
And it truly gives you freedom. What would you say to a kid who is trying to make that decision, like, oh, how do I go on this right path or, accept Christ, and then versus, I want to do what my friends are doing. This is normal for teenagers to do this.
Well, I and that, missing out, thinking some other things are cooler than not doing things. Want to be in a cool thing. I think that they're gonna have to make that tough decision. And my thing is you got to have a relationship with God, and God will guide you to make the right decision. We're all gonna fail. We're all gonna fall, but be able to stand back and put it in God's hands is what I tell most of the guys. I go, don't stress out. Come on, you have a leader or somebody that could guide you through there, but you got to have a relationship with them and help you out.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So when did you pick up the coaching hat? So you went into the corporate world, started making some money, living in Hawaii for 8 years.
So I'm a family guy, but come from six siblings, and my holidays I spent 8 years there. My holidays were really lonely. My brother ended up coming out and moving out there, but Thanksgiving, all the Christmases and everything. So after 8 years, I got to come back. So I came back and moved in with my sister, and my niece was playing basketball, middle school ball, and then high school at Bell Jeff.
Okay.
And I would show up to their practices, and the coach for the JVs was just one of those coaches say, "We need a coach. He doesn't really coach. Basically, we need somebody to help out." And I would show up to practice. He goes, "Hey, Julian, you're here every day." I wasn't working at the time. "Do you want to coach this team?" And I was like, "Oh man!" So that was ended up coaching girls. Started off with girls and went on and moved on from there. And I coached 2 years there. And my head coach at Eagle Rock was the athletic director. Their coach had quit in September, and gave me a call and said, I need you over here. I know you're coaching." And my gosh, I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
I was like, man,
back to your alma mater.
I'm alma mater and coaching, and I coached there 2 years, and we were very successful in 2 years. We won back-to-back 21 games and won league twice and everything. It was and then from there on, went into the college, women's college at Pierce College.
Okay.
Was opening up their college for girls, and that was a training. Oh wow, the first time college girls, women. I want to be part of that. And I left the high school and I did that, and only lasted there 2 years. And I went back to, then I did youth basketball for, many years for ARC.
Okay, you were there.
ARC for many, many years, and which was great. I had 4 teams. Now I think back, I was coaching 4 teams. And
4 AAU teams?
Yes.
Oh, wow, you're crazy.
So they were back to back. I would start at 8 in the morning and until 4 o'clock.
Oh my goodness.
On a Saturday practice, and Sunday I had all my games back to back. So, but that just tells you how much love I had for it.
You don't even feel it.
You didn't even feel that was work, and then they were paying me for it.
Right.
You know, so it was a great experience, and then doing that, and I decided Bell Jeff, a job came about, and the girl that I coached back there, she went to University of Kansas, Jackie Johnson. She came back to be athletic director, and she goes, "I got hired a men's coach, boys coach, and you're my guy."
Wow.
And that was it. I did 5 years there, and we did a good job, and took off to other parts of the other schools.
All right, so after that 2-minute drill, all right, you were at Bell Jeff, because I know it's a little crazy after that. Name the schools that you coached at after that.
So Bell Jeff, I went ahead and went from there. After 5 years, went to be the associate head coach at Oaks Christian. From there, I went being in the league there. Coach Pilares was a coach at Calabasas, and we competed against each other during that that year. And he's like, "Hey, come coach with me, be associate head coach there." Did that, and then they hired him at Chaminade. He goes, "Let's go to Chaminade." And then Calabasas said, "We need you, John, over to be athletic director. Come back to Calabasas."
Yeah.
I went back with him there, and that was it. And then after that, Village opportunity came up, and I was very fortunate and grateful that it was a Christian school, so it was a great fit for me. They passed on to me 2 years. I was a candidate for 2 years before they finally said, "Okay, we'll take you." So, but again.
How long have you been there now?
Going on my 6th year.
6th year, yeah.
So, but again, one thing you don't do, adversity hits you, you find what the positive of that is. Yeah. And don't get yourself down and move forward. Because all it is a dead end. You got to put it back in reverse and find another way to get where you want to get. And that's basically what it was for me. It was like, I wasn't mad at anybody at, Oaks or Bell Jeff when they decided that they wanted to really change things around there, and it was time for me just I got to move and find another opportunity. But the fact that Village decided on 2 other coaches before me, 3 other coaches before me, it was still my drive. The fact that, hey, there's a plan out there.
I don't even remember the other coaches before you. Why am I blanking? It was John Shaw.
Well,
he was the one who left, right? And then who was there between there?
Paul
Westfall. Or Paul Westfall's
Mike
son.
Westfall.
Mike.
Then there was Jamal. I'm not gonna remember his name. He went to San Diego State to coach.
He was there for Marvin.
Marvin
yeah,
Adams.
That's
Marvin,
right.
sorry,
okay,
Marvin.
Marvin.
Yeah, Marvin.
Marvin doesn't coaching. He does financial stuff now. But yeah.
Marvin.
Oh, okay.
And then there was Potts.
Oh, that's
Jermaine
right.
Potts. And then me.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, it's
great.
great.
God's timing is always perfect timing.
Absolutely, man. So it was good.
Absolutely. And so what do you think made you successful? You had always had winning records at most of these places that you went to. What did you come in and inject into the culture that made it a positive environment, a winning environment?
I think things that I think it's the energy. I think the energy and be able to really, really have a relationship with the kids and make them believe. It goes back to my first year at Eagle Rock. The head coach there left because he felt these kids didn't want to work hard. He felt these kids were losers and everything like that. And he quit because of that. And I remember at the PE class when I was watching the kids going up and down, he was in my ear bad-mouthing every kid on the court, like verbally abusive. I was like, oh my gosh. So it's basically believing in the kids. That same group that he talked about, we went 10-2 in league, won the league, went 20-6, we're ranked number 1 or 2 in 3A. That same group.
Wow.
So it's just having them believe and caring for them. And of course, you know, you got to coach the right way. You got to work on the fundamentals. I mean, we can't just roll out basketball
Right.
these days, you know, all that kind of stuff. But the discipline, relationships, and work ethic. You know, one question you always get is like, how do you make your kids work so hard? And I think is that really an option? I mean,
to some it is.
I mean, it's like, to me, it's like, I don't know how to answer that question, because
I can answer it for you. I'm gonna tell you why. People mirror their leader. You work hard, so your kids work hard. So the coaches who are struggling with their kids working hard is because you're probably not working hard enough. They're going to copy what they see, just like kids. Yeah. Our kids copy what we do as parents. There are no bad players, only bad coaches. I'm a huge believer in that. Yeah. And that work ethic shows with how the effort you're putting in, and not just like as a coach, like in your life. How are you taking care of your family?
Absolutely.
How you're approaching your regular job, or your full-time job if you're not a full-time coach. How you're taking care of your body. Yeah. All those things add up, and the players see it, and they're going to work as hard as you are. They're going to give the effort that you give.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think it just comes with the energy and believing in the kids and the relationship, I mean, and the caring of the kid. You know, taking the extra step or whatever that is. You know, I remember having a kid. Coming in practice every day, and the jersey had really bad odor on the jersey. And I go, man, you gotta wash your jersey back. Finally, the kid basically told me one day, Coach, we don't have a washing machine. It's hard for me to get to the laundromat. And you know what? After every practice, I'll take care of it for you. Yeah. You know, just taking the extra step and saying, Karen, just little things like that make a big difference. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta know your players. That's good. That's good. So, Village now. This is your longest tenured job?
Yeah, matter of fact, you're right.
Yeah, now
Absolutely.
it is. Yeah, now it is. And you've really built the program up. It's going. Like, people want to come to Village, and you're winning CIF titles. You're producing college level players. What are you most proud of inside of the program that's been built on your leadership?
Be able to compete at the highest level. And that's important, but also just the most important is just to be able to compete every year. Mm-hmm. You know, levels are important, but sometimes you're not going to have we all need athletes. You got to have talent. You know, I mean, we know the story of John Wooden. I mean, you know, he didn't win his title till, 5-6 years till talent came in and got it going. But I think talent is really important. But I think that, so we have right now 35 kids in our program, and when I went there, varsity was what it was regarding numbers. JV was kind of low. I think to build the interest in getting the kids into Frostoff, JV, and varsity, I think to me it's really important that I'm able to grab those kids and put them in an environment. Yeah. And not too many of those kids are going to play varsity basketball, but they get to be on a team. Yeah. You know, so it's not, and for whatever reason, the other schools don't want to have the other one, but I have it just to have those kids be able to participate in something. And I think to me that's important. I mean, I think that, winning a CIF title is really great, but I don't know if it really validated me in any which way, because I'm still the same guy.
This is true.
My wife and my kids are the ones that make a difference in my circle. Yeah. But I think that I don't think I'm a better coach because of it, or anybody sees me any different. I think that we're still doing the same things we've always done. And so I think it's just really growing the program and be able to compete at whatever level that is.
No, that title is God's thank you to you for serving. Like you have a servant's heart and you serve the kids. And like you said, you haven't changed because of that title. Like, and I'm like, this is so true. You've been the same guy since I met you. And after that title, you just went back to work. It was another day in the office for you. But, it's God's way of saying you're doing the right thing, I think. That's a little...
And I think it probably makes it tougher because we get to we were Division I last year, and now I don't know where we're going to be now with the new format. But to try to keep that level going, I mean, I think it's kind of like, say like when you're at that level and then they drop you Division II, Division III. I mean, how's that going to feel? But in my case, it's like whatever personnel we got, we got to maximize the best of that. Yep. And I got to tell you, I've had teams in the past that didn't win the CIF title, I remember that team as one of the most memorable experiences for me as a coach and for those guys, because they overachieved. You know, that's huge.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're getting every ounce of potential out of them.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
You let your guys play, man. I really appreciate that because, you know, you have some kids who came through the core program and sometimes they go to schools and they're a shell of themselves, but you let guys rock out and kind of be themselves, man. And I think that's so important for confidence, giving these kids confidence if they're going to play on the next level, to know who they are. Yeah. Even though when you go to college, you got to play a role, but they still know who they are, and there's a confidence that comes.
You gotta have to put them in a situation where they have some freedom. You know, I think that's a, you know, let them explore, let them in. And now these days too, with so many, you know, individual workouts that they do and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, okay, show me what you learned, and I'll let you see what it looks like at that point, and see if we could create some separation, have an additional, you know, counter, you know, for what's going on.
Yeah.
So,
let's talk about that CIF title year. What do you think, you know, was special about that group, the group of kids that you had that won it?
You know, you said a major thing is roles. Roles are huge in championship wins and league titles and CIF titles and state titles. Be able to have those kids buy into that role and be the best at that role. Yes. You know, and I think that's when, you know, kids try to do too much in some cases. Like, you know, you get a kid, 6'7", athletic kid that just rebound and set screens and plays defense. There's a spot for him somewhere on a Division I level somewhere that would be that. And some kids don't understand that they don't need to dribble the ball and bring it up and, you know, try to shoot threes and stuff. So I think with that championship team, if you look at all my 5 starters, they all were great at their roles. I mean, it was amazing what we had regarding, and the bench guys understood, and, you know, we had a great leader. We had a point guard that really knew how to defend and attack and distribute the ball, and we had the shooter, and then we had the guy that would move bodies, the power forward. Yeah. It was just it's a puzzle, and all those pieces just you know just fit together, and that's where that came through.
Do you coach them on filling their role? Like, is that something that is developed? You could develop with the player, like, hey, this is your job to play this role, and or do you think it's kind of who they are as a person, like before you get them, that they kind of have that character in them to be able to mold to a role?
I think the character in them to buy into the role is huge, and the fact that, you know, and you gotta have the meeting with the player and let them know where they really could help the team, and depending on where they are in their year of school, you know, if we really want to help the team this year, you need to catch and shoot. If you could just catch and shoot, that's all you need. If you could go in there and just get me 5, 6, 7 rebounds, that's all you need to do. And then the summertime and all that, it's try to remove them from those roles and let them be free and get other things. But when it comes season-wise, it basically, you got to find that niche of that role and be the best you can. And at that point, you know, we had that conversation, said, this is what you need to do, and you're going to get minutes, you know.
Do you feel like a kid's ever missed out from playing a role to being a college player? Like, because they had to play this role that an opportunity in college did not come because of that?
You know, I think in some cases, I think people think that, you know, you got to score 20 points and you got to really get that kid to really get a lot of shot attempts, keep them in the game and blowouts, and raise his average up, you know, and all the things. But so I hope that that's never really happened in my coaching career. I think that a college coach needs to see what the kid, how he plays the game, his effort that he delivers, and how he fits with his teammates, and what else he can do later in life. I mean, so on a team. So I don't think that that's probably been the case, but I hope not. You know, because our job is to try to have that kid maximize everything he can to be, you know, at the next level. But the college level is so much different. it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, no, and I asked that because I wanted to prove the point that that's not the case. More than anything, it's like when a kid plays his role and they show who they are and they're an all-star in their role, that's when the colleges come in looking, because they're looking to fill that spot. And I think you've done a great job of telling people who they are and, showing them, and they've gotten their opportunities. Like Jake, didn't he just is he going to Arkansas now?
Yeah, Jaden Kawaletwa
Yeah.
is at Arkansas, and I got to tell you, he's a 6'5", jump shooter, 3-point specialist, and he's at Arkansas, and playing a role.
Yeah.
And that's basically where he's at. The kid averaged 14, 15 points a game for us.
Yeah.
Was not in the top 250 list of any recruiting service out there. And here, the assistant coaches brought him over to Cal and says, "We got this kid." And I followed their Instagram and their pages to see him in working out and being part of the team and fitting in. Mm-hmm. I mean, we don't know how much playing time he's going to get, but he's in.
Yeah, he has opportunity.
He's in, and now the opportunity there, and with the portal and all that. I mean, come on, the guy was at Arkansas. You're not going to go in and take a look at this kid, but that's one of the kids, just determined, hard work, keep on going. Put me in front of the right people and let them see what they got. And that's sometimes I think the college recruiters kind of miss out on that a little bit.
Yeah.
They follow everybody else and not step aside and see. Let me look at this other kid.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that's missing.
Yeah, absolutely. What can we look forward to this season with Village?
It's interesting. So last year we lost 5 starters.
You lost all 5 years?
All 5 starters. We lost. All 5 starters were graduated. One transferred out, and then the other kids moved on. So we expected big things last year, but this year we returned 3 starters. And we got some high, so I'm expecting some big things from this group. So I think that we're excited. The schedule's pretty tough. And I'll see what they got. I think we got some big size with 6'10", 6'9", 6'7", 6'6".
Oh man.
Yeah, we got some size now, and those aren't our best players. Our guards are our best players. One of your kids, Deion Lewis, an exceptional sophomore point guard, and we got some other guards around him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, definitely looking for some big things and to compete. But it's interesting. Looking forward to it. I'm excited.
No, I'm excited too to see the bigs.
Yeah.
That's going to be good. It's always, just watching the Olympic League. Like, we're not the talked about league, but man, Village, Heritage, Maranatha, and then Valley has its years. Whittier's usually down, just because of I guess where they are. But it's always good to hear like, oh, we got some dudes that you got to go against every single night and see them compete.
No, we'll be. It's interesting. We had our first game. Fall is very difficult to coach these days because, you got 13 guys and you got 1 hour game.
Yeah. And
then you got to play all the guys because we got to develop the other guys. And then some. Of course, we're trying to compete and play a win, but and parents and posting scores and all that kind of stuff, and so it gets a little tricky there.
Posting score for fall league is crazy.
Yeah.
If I were coaching, this is just me, I would have my assistant coach fall league to get his chops up and platoon it, and make sure I have 2 games a day. Everybody gets minutes, and then the real work is happening in practice on a day-to-day. And that's what people don't know is like people literally take fall league. Oh, I'm transferring. It's like. It's fall league, man.
I know.
It's the mindset of people and the transfer culture and really understanding the process of this. Like if you're a freshman not playing on the varsity team in fall league, you're okay. Yeah. You're going to be okay. Like go in the gym and work harder. Yeah. Prove that you need to be on the court. Yeah, no coach wants to put the worst player in.
So it's funny. So that's when driving to my games. I'm okay. I got 1 game. It's a 20-minute. Half running clock, whatever, and I got 13 guys. I got to go ahead and get in the game, and the 13 guys I'm trying to get separation from them, and they actually can compete, So it's not 13 guys that I got to give, little Johnny some run, and he's not at this level. But it's none of that.
Right, right.
So, but anyways, but that makes it tough.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk about just your international connections and your connection to just Latin America in general.
Yeah.
You've been able to bring some players over, some pretty high level players. Just talk about your connection to that and what it's meant to you.
So we missed a year of Beverly Hills High School assistant coach, and I was assistant coach to a coach there named Luis Turcios, El Salvadorian, born in El Salvador, and he's in Mexico right now, doing some great things out there with prep school. So anyways, through my contacts and being out there, I was able to meet some international coaches and players, and able to bring a Panamanian kid. When I was at Bell Jeff, they decided to come over and knew who I was and came in. And another one was Iverson Molinar, which was a big, brought him at Oaks, and he had a career for, he played for Mississippi State, and then and that. But most importantly though, it is really going back there to the country. So because of the Panamanian connections I've had with the kids, they brought me over there to do camps, and it's been incredible. I mean, I don't make a dime. I go there, they pay for my room and board and the coaching, and I was able to bring a couple coaches to help me, and to have 100, 150 kids, and just looking at you, to feed them some tools of basketball is just incredible, and the resources that they have, nothing like the United States, and they don't know any better, and they just want to play, and it's been great. So I've done camps there, and then did a camp in Colombia, and the camp, and so basically it's exciting for me. So when people call me and say, you want to go, I go, yeah, Colombia, I'll be there. I don't ask too many questions about it. So basically, the one in Colombia was a city called Insa, and so I take a flight to Bogota, and from there take another flight to another city, and then from that city it was a 3-hour car ride.
Oh, you're in the middle of Colombia.
I was in the mountains of nowhere, dirt roads, one-way highways, cliffs, and all that kind of stuff, and like, where am I going? And then get to a city on a mountain.
Wow.
And you see white smoke up in the air in the mountains, and you still got the Indians tribes still living there, and it was like, my goodness, where am I? And then you see this court. And incredible, and they would my hotel didn't have no hot water. They would pick me up on a motorcycle, wrap around take me to the court. I mean, but I gotta tell you,
man,
all that and the feeling these kids gave you, man, that CF championship was great. This felt really good too, though.
Yeah.
Knowing that you were giving back to these kids and how much they love the game, and to put them all in drills and all that, and it's incredible. And then you spend 3-4 days, and the goodbye on that, I mean, you can't help it how much you get emotional about it. You'll never see these kids again, and the love they give you because of that game, because of that small ball and that hoop, man, it's incredible. So that had started my name in different places. So, and then going to Mexico. We're going to Mexico on Tuesday to play some teams in Mexico. NBA Academy we're playing out there in Guanajuato. So connections like that. But it's the experience that I'm going to give the kids, that they're going to go in a foreign country and see what it's all about.
Yeah.
Not forget the game.
See how they live. See what their living experience.
I mean, they come back and appreciate what coaches do, what your parents do for you.
Yes.
I mean, come back and be wholesome, be humble.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, wake up every morning and know that, look where we're at.
Yeah.
It's a blessing.
Yeah. No, I've had some international experiences as well.
Yeah.
Flew into Guatemala. and we had this guy stack my schedule. David, I love you. Don't do it again. Man, I went to Guatemala. We landed. He had to go to the mall, which is in the middle of the city during rush hour. Rush hour traffic there is worse than LA. It took us 2 hours to go 7 miles. It was something. Did a camp, had to get in the car and leave to drive to El Salvador for the next camp the next day. We took a wrong turn at Albuquerque, let's just say that. He wanted to go to the volcano route. We went up this mountain, small windy road, to the top of this volcano to go back in. A trip that was supposed to take 3.5 hours, took 7.
Wow.
Get to the hotel, I have an hour to sleep before the camp starts. The camp is this, 9 through 11-year-olds for an hour and a half, 12 through 14, high schoolers. Hour and a half, back to back to back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do that, have to go back at night, do it again. Had another camp that morning, the next morning. I had a coach's clinic, then a camp. Then we had to get in the car and go back to Guatemala to do the camps in Guatemala the same way. And then at the end of the Guatemala camp, we had one more camp, so it was a very poor area. But like you said, it felt great though. It was the last part, it was the last stop, but it was like, oh, these are the kids who really need it. Wow. And it was amazing. But it was humbling is, I don't even know if that's the word to describe, when you see like literally kids hanging on to your every word. And after you teach them something as a water break, they're literally just trying what you just taught them over and over and over again. And it's awesome. You get to take the team to really go see that.
I'm looking forward to it. And then, you know, the context that you meet, you know, I mean, it was the Colombian national basketball coach, you know, he worked with me. Don Showalter, you know, a big USA basketball guy. You know, he worked with me, and having those type of relationships, you know, it's like, it's great. And again, you know, through a game of basketball, but to give back, man, it's basically a give back, you know, it's really humbling. It's the best.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, man. Thank you, man, for sharing your journey. Excited to see, you know, what you guys do this year, man, and you got some bigs in there. That's going to be fun to watch. So definitely going to be at a lot of games. So we're going to move to the next segment, My Rushmore. Okay, so we're talking about these developing countries and Latin American countries with basketball. And you talk about how the kids are just excited, man. What are your top 4, you know, countries or maybe areas in Latin America where like the passion for basketball is exciting?
Well, I want to say that definitely you're always we know who the top 4 are off the bat, but you know, Brazil is huge in basketball. You got Argentina. But I think that now, these days, you're getting the Central American Latin countries. That was South America. But Panama is getting some really good athletic kids and some better coaching there. And I got to tell you, Mexico is really, really jumping on board. Mexico is going to be a surprise in the years to come. They're doing some great things there. I think
that's where the NBA Academy is in Mexico.
In Mexico, yes.
And they have a G League team.
Yeah. So that's huge. So I think that, you know, you're going to see those Latin countries really explode because there is some talent. You know, Dominican Republic has incredible talent. You know, I'm from Ecuador. I was born in Ecuador, and Ecuador's got some kids there. But again, it's to get the exposure and the coaching for these kids. You know what I mean? But I think it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming because, again, the game's being so, you know, it's an international, worldwide game that's there, and coaches are coming to clinics and things like that. And then there's talent. So basically, but yeah, I would say that you're looking at countries like Mexico is right now where I think that's really, really going to start developing.
Yeah. No, so my buddy in Guatemala, he played at Sunrise Christian Academy in Wichita, and then he moved to Guatemala. He's Guatemalan. And what he's been doing for the last few years is bringing out trainers, you know, pretty high profile trainers to Guatemala to do camps. And so that's what he's like doing. So they're picking up, I went out there, I saw some kids. I was actually going to call you about a kid. It didn't work, his visa didn't work out, but he, you know, 6'5", lengthy, like can go.
What country?
Guatemala.
Guatemala,
yeah,
wow.
Guatemala. And so there's some dudes out there. They got some, and my friend out there, he's like he's a modern day American trainer though,
Oh,
and
gotcha.
so he's giving them some pretty
Yeah,
good
some
skill
good stuff, good
sets
work,
and
yeah.
some stuff. And but he's done a good job. He got the Sunrise head coach to go out there. Some former NBA players, kind of a older guy, Chris Johnson. Like he's getting some real
Yeah.
guys to come out there and like help with the
Help on
camps and
camps,
develop. And then across the way, his buddy in El Salvador, he's American, but he moved there and he just that's his nonprofit. Like he's a businessman, and his nonprofit is just developing kids. And so they're bringing a group to Chris Johnson over, their summer break is during the holidays. So during
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, we do a camp. He's bringing like 20 kids out here.
Wow,
And
that's
so
awesome.
from El Salvador. So yeah, really trying to make those connects. And man, we'd love to connect you too. And,
Yeah.
and
So Veritas International, Luis Trucios
Yeah.
is doing some great things over
Yeah.
at that prep school, and this coming week, over 100 youth teams are going to be there
wow.
for this tournament.
Down at Veritas? Or in
Yes,
San Diego?
Veritas in Guanajuato.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Guanajuato, that's going to be huge.
Nice. Oh, so is there another one in March? So the guy from El Salvador was telling me about like an international camp. They're actually paying for teams to travel from America, like in
Yeah.
all over the world,
Yeah.
to these camps now
Yeah.
too.
So he's doing some great things, and again, it's year round. It's a prep team with core prep.
Yeah.
It's basically what they're doing.
Oh wow. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
weightlifting, all that kind of stuff, and really nutritionists, all that kind of stuff. They're all out.
Set it up.
So it's really good, and so that's gonna blow up. He's got a investor too that really wants to get involved because the other good things are happening.
Yeah.
So we'll have some really fun experience going there.
It's interesting. I've been studying basketball, like literally reading the history of basketball, and it's such a young sport. Like we don't understand. Like we feel like we're in like the best part of it, but no, the world's getting smaller, and we have yet to see the real talent. Like you look at all the guys coming from France, and then
Yeah.
like you're saying, like once people start to get developed, and we really get the best of the best, getting the education they need in basketball and all the resources, like it's going to be even better. So I play 2K, right? I do my GM mode. I don't actually play like the games. I do my GM mode, and so I'm like in year 2043 right now. And if it's any telling to what the
That's
NBA is going
incredible.
to, the NBA is going to be like, there's a bunch of guys who were rated in the 90s. People are just going to keep getting better and better
Oh
at
my
basketball.
gosh.
And I think, kind of joking with 2K, but not. It's like I think that's what's going to happen as we put resources into all these other areas and
Yeah.
start to develop the basketball. Who knows
Where it's
the
gonna go.
kids we haven't seen? Like we thought Wembanyama was like a Space Jam character. No, he's real.
Real deal. Unbelievable.
Like, how does that person exist? And they're out here. And
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy is what's
yeah.
gonna happen. Yep.
yeah. Fix the net. So a misconception about basketball or yourself that you want to make straight. So after you tell us and you fix it, then you gotta make the bucket.
A misconception. Wow, that's an interesting one. I'm gonna have to go with shooting the puck. I gotta go back to the shooting the right way. I think that you gotta be able to just line it up the right way,
Yeah.
and this cannot be a misconception. This is so I'm going probably with the opposite of that way to say, you know what I mean? But I think that you gotta get that follow through, and if you don't get that follow through, you're not gonna be a great shooter.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get. You could become, but it make it so much harder for you. And I think that's a misconception that you could shoot 300 shots a day, but if you don't shoot it the right way, chances are it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. I think that's more true. Go ahead. You can make your bucket. Finger roll. Love it. I think it's more true now than it was 10 years ago, where we have so much information on how to shoot the ball the right
Yeah.
way, and kids are learning to shoot the right way earlier.
Yeah.
Before, there weren't shooting coaches out there. We
Yeah.
had Hoopla, right? Where we could find his videos or something like that. Like that was it. But now you go on the internet and there's so many people trying to teach the correct way to shoot. And so,
But it's funny, but you see all the posts that everybody does, you never get too much from 1 foot away from the basket. People just working on technique. You know what I mean? Yeah, because it doesn't look all that great.
yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's funny because I've done individual workouts back in the day. I mean, I bought a house and I knocked down my backyard and I built a full court in Sherman Oaks. I had a full court and I did a lot of training. And when I would get a kid, I would go, you know what, we're not going to do anything until we know how to shoot the right way. We would spend 1 hour on technique. Of course, we had to throw a couple of things in there to make it boring, because the name of the game is what?
Shooting.
How do you get the points?
Yeah.
Got to put it to the hoop.
Yeah.
And if you can't, you could do all that, shake and bake and all that, but if you can't, you create that separation and that ball doesn't go leave your hand the right way, you're going to make it tough.
Absolutely. And this is where we flip the script. You are now the interviewer. 2 questions for me, could be about anything in the world.
What other sport would you be doing if it wasn't basketball?
Track and field. Now that I know, so I was really, really, really fast my sophomore year. It's called Frappier acceleration. He was like one of the first dudes, like jump attack with Michael Jordan and all that. He was the one who kind of also revolutionized strength and conditioning. I was running 22 miles per hour on a treadmill.
Wow.
I had a 33-inch vertical. This was when I was 15. I ran a 4.4. The guy who was running in state at Santiago High School, the guy who was running state was also on the basketball team, and I would beat him in 100-yard dashes during basketball conditioning.
Incredible.
But I was like, oh, I'm a hooper.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything else. I've tried football one day, got hit, took my helmet off, and just got off the film. Like, I'm not messing this up. It was my senior year. But it would be track and field. To this day, I smoke kids. Kids think they're faster than me. They're not.
That's crazy.
So I would be in the Olympics, hopefully.
Well, let me ask you, what would you coach?
What would I coach? That's a great question. I believe, because of core, we have multiple sports in core.
Sure.
I would probably coach baseball. The detail in which, shout out Dalen Monet, my director of baseball at core, phenomenal baseball teacher. Like I wish I can coach like him in basketball. I'm close, but I'm not there. He's taught me how to throw the ball correctly, how to hit correctly. He's like, I go out there and try to learn, and I get it quick. And I'm like, oh, you're an amazing teacher. And I just love the detail. I love how.
So you see how that's happening though by him breaking it down.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. I was like, oh, I want to teach a kid like that. I love that.
It's funny you say that, because my kids play baseball, and I can't help them in any which way. I'm like, they go in the batting cage and they swing. I don't know what the correct is, where you put your weight at, where you do that. I mean, growing up, it's like, come on, just bring it, right? And I'm gonna smack it. But you're right, there's so much little details on that.
Yeah.
How hard it is to hit that ball.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So, yeah, it would be baseball. That's a good question. Never had
But, you got basketball, which is a high entertainment level, excitement. And baseball, where, man, you sit back and eat some sunflower seeds and, man, it's got to be the most boring.
I get kids complaining about reps in basketball all day. I go outside and watch baseball. It's like 10 kids standing in a line, one kid doing a drill, and they're like, yep, this is normal. Like, because the detail that they have to do when they go, the detail that they have to have, watching another player do it is so important too, I think, for any sport really, but especially for baseball. So, yeah, that's one question. Or is that 2?
I gave you 2.
Oh, it was 2.
Yeah, I gave you the one about the coach.
Karina, you have any questions? You have anything today? Karina sometimes gets.
She's keeping track. That was good.
Oh no, she takes notes over there. She does a great job. Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Great to be here. Thank you. It was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have a 24-second shot clock. Let people know where they can find you on social media, and a message that you have for the people.
My message is basically does it have to be basketball or life? What is it?
Life would be great.
I think when things are going tough or going good, going bad, going everything, I think that there's nothing better than having a relationship with the Lord. I think that really is my message to everybody. Get a relationship with God. I think that's really, really important. And and he would lead you to some great things. And now sometimes when you're down, that's the person you gotta lean on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Yep. That's all we have for you today, folks. We'll see you next time. Peace.